Hello students, I hope all of you are doing good and all of you are practicing the problems or following the lectures that we are uploading. So today I'll discuss on three counting problems. One of the problems I had given you in the earlier lecture itself, and I had asked you to try it. I hope some of you have tried at least. Anyway, I'll discuss it today, and the other two problems are also counting problems, and all the three problems have been asked in the earlier Olympiad exams. And you will require only the things that we have taught you till now to solve this problem, nothing extra. Okay, so we will need these counting principles that I had discussed, then the congruence theory which was discussed by your Rahul sir, and one problem will also require the quadratic equation theory, which was also discussed by your Bijoya madam in one of her lectures. So let us see the problems one by one. Okay. So the first problem is this, which I had given you in the last week's lecture as an exercise, and I had given some hints. So it was a problem asked in PRMO. Actually, this part was asked in PRMO. How many such numbers are there if B is odd? Okay, so let me just read out the problem. Consider six-digit numbers, right? Consider six-digit numbers of the form ABC CBA. Okay, for example, this type of number 427 Okay, and in last video also I told you these are palindromic numbers. Okay, if you read it from this side or the other side, okay, they are same. So how many of these numbers are divisible by 7? That was the problem I gave you. The in your PRMO, this part was asked, how many of these numbers are divisible by 7 if B is odd? Okay, so we will deal with both the problems. Let us see. So this last class already I had discussed. Let us simplify, try simplifying the things. We have already learned about congruences, and observe that ABC CBA can be written in this way, expanded form, that we have seen already. This way we can write, and then we combine the things. And I had asked you to show that this 1 0 0 0 0 1 is congruent to 6 modulo 7, right? And this 1 0 0 1 0, it is congruent to 0 modulo 7 because it is divisible by 7, and 1 1 0 0, this is congruent to 1 modulo 7. Okay, I hope all of you have tried that. It's very simple, just divide by 7 and see what is the remainder. Okay, so ultimately a 6 can be written as congruent to minus 1 modulo 7. So I can simplify it further to show that the given number is actually congruent to C minus A modulo 7. Okay, so now our problem is very much simplified. Okay, so 7 divides this number is equivalent to saying that 7 divides C minus A. Okay, so note that B is not playing any role here. B can be any digit. Okay, so C and A are digits, so we just need to find all possible C and A for which 7 divides C minus A. Okay, so in the last lecture I told you keep trying. One example is that I had given is A is 7 and C is 0. So you can get numbers like 710 720 So how many you can get? Okay, that was the exercise. So let us see how we can deal with this problem. So the problem reduces to finding the digits A and C such that 7 divides C minus A, or equivalently 7 divides A minus C. Okay, both are equivalent. Note that the value of B doesn't matter. So with the examples given above, for A equal to 7 and C equal to 0, we have 10 numbers. How we have 10 numbers? We have 10 numbers because for B there are 10 options. B can be any of the digits 0, 1 to up to 9. Okay, this is what you need to understand very nicely. Okay, A and C, for fixed values of A and C, there are 10 possibilities for the digit B. Okay, so the numbers are, if I take B as 0, then this will be the number 70007. If I take B as 1, then the number is 710017. Okay, if I take B as 2, then it is 720027. Okay, that way you will get exactly 10 numbers with A equal to 7, C equal to 0. Okay, this is what you have to understand. Okay, so in the same way we need to find all other possibilities. So C equal to 0 and a equal to 7 was one of the possibilities. There are other possibilities like c may be equal to 8, a may be equal to 1. Okay, so that way we have to list all the possibilities. That is why in the earlier lectures I had given you some problems where we needed to list the possibilities of under some conditions. Okay, so in this so let us see, but we will not list all the elements this time. Okay, so this time we will not list all the elements, but instead we will try something smarter, because already we have the counting principles with us. Okay, so we will use the principles of counting to find how many such numbers are possible. Okay, so one observation you can make is 7 divides c minus a is same as saying 7 divides a minus c. So this also we had discussed in the earlier lectures, even in our classroom lectures. This was the very first topic, the divisibility concepts that I had also discussed. So the values for a and c can be interchanged to get another possibility. That is, suppose a equal to 8, c equal to 1 gives us a solution, right? If you interchange these two, then that will also give us another solution, right? So once you have a solution a equal to 8, c equal to 1, you don't have to look for another, you have to look for, but as a ready-made solution you get another solution. Okay, what is that? A equal to 1, c equal to 8. Just interchange the values of a and c. Okay, so that way we have to think. So we list the possibilities in tabular form. Okay, so here you see in the first column I have written AC or CA. That means A is 0, 7 is C is 7, or C is 0, A is 7. Okay, two possibilities are there, right? In the second one, A is 1, C is 8, because 7 also divides C minus A, right? So A is 8, C is 1. That is also possible. So two possibilities are there here. Okay, here also there are two possibilities. A can be 2, C can be 9, or A can be 9, C can be 2. Okay. So if A is 0, C is 7, but here in the first case A0, C7, A0 is not possible because the number has to be of 6 digits. So A is the first digit of the number. It cannot be 0, otherwise it will be a lesser digit number. Okay. So for the first case only, there are only one possibilities. Okay. So here in the third column I have written options for AC. How many options are there? So for the first case there is only one option because A has to be non-zero. So for the first case, A is 7, C is 0. Okay. And what are the options for B? Any of the 10 digits can be B. So options for B is 10, right? So we can apply multiplication principle of counting. AC can be chosen in one way. Okay. And for each choice of AC, there are 10 choices of B. Okay. This is what you have to understand very nicely. Okay. For each choice of AC, say suppose here I had taken A as 7, C as 0. For each choice, for this particular choice, there are 10 values of B. Okay, and this happens for every such choice. Okay, so for the choice C, A equal to 7, C equal to 0, there are 10 options for B. So how many total number of options or total number of numbers that we get under these conditions? It is 1 multiplied with 10. Okay. Then if A is 1, C is 8, or A is 8, C is 1. Okay, and then B can be any of the digits because B doesn't matter, right? So there are two options for AC. A and C, they can be selected in two ways, right? So for each selection of AC, there are 10 selections for B, right? So immediately I have to apply multiplication rule. So number of choices will be 20. Because you take A as 1, C as 8, so you will get numbers like 108, 801, okay, 118, 811, 128, 821, okay, like that. And similarly, if you interchange you take A as 8 and C as 1, so you will get numbers like 801, 108, 80811, 118, okay, like that. So there are 20 options. Similarly, if A is 2, C is 9, or the other way, A is 9, C is 2, then B can be any of the digits. So there are 2 options for AC and 10 options for B. So total number of options is 2 into 20, 2 into 10, that is 20. Is this possible? A is 3 and C is 10. This case is not possible as A and C are digits. Okay, C cannot be greater than 9. Okay, so this case is not possible. Nothing else is possible except one case that we have missed was the case when A is equal to C. Okay, when A equal to C, A minus C is 0, so 7 divides A minus C. That's a possibility. Okay, so when A and C are equal, how many options are there for A and C? Only 9 options, because 0 is not allowed. A cannot be 0, right? So there are only 9 ways we can choose A and C, provided they are equal. 1 1. Okay, say 1 1, 2 2, 3 3, 4 4. Okay, so you will get numbers like this. Say if I take A and C as 1, then we'll get numbers like, say, 1 0 1 0 1. Okay, like that. Then another number like 1 1 1. Oh, sorry, I missed something here. 1 0 A B C C B A C B A. Yeah, like that. 1 0 0 0, like that. Right, 6-digit number. 1 1 1 1 1 1. Okay, right. Another number maybe I can get like 1 2 1 1 2 1. Okay, I'll get numbers of this type. Okay, for A equal to 1, C equal to 1. For A equal to 2, C equal to 2, I'll get 2 0 1 2 sorry, 2 0 2 2 0 2. Okay, 2 1 2 2 1 2, like that. Okay, so for A equal to C, there are 9 options, and for B there are again 10 options. So 9 into 10, 90. So the total number of ways of forming is the sum of all this. Okay, so here we are applying addition rule, because each of these cases, they cannot happen together. Okay, if A is A0 C7 cannot happen together with A1 C8. Okay, so these are disjoint cases. So the total number of ways will be the sum of all this. So it's 140. Okay, now what happens if B is odd? The question that was asked in PRMO. If B is odd, then the number of options for B will be only 5, because B can be 1 3 5 7 and 9, nothing else. Okay, so the number of such numbers will be, we have already computed, 1 into 10 it was there in the earlier case. Here it will be 1 into 5, then this will be 2 into 5, 2 into 5, then 9 into 5. Okay, so the total number of such numbers is 70. So the answer for this is 70. Okay, is this clear? Please try it yourself, only then it will be clear. Okay, right. So let us try another problem. Determine the number of 8 tuples, epsilon 1. This symbol is called epsilon. Okay, this is a Greek symbol. So this was also asked in PRMO, epsilon. Okay, so don't worry about symbol, it's just another symbol. It's like x1 x2 x3 y1 y2 y3. Okay, so I have given it just as it was given in PRMO. Okay, so it's necessary to understand the symbols also. So determine the number of 8 tuples. Okay, so tuples, as I told you, the order is important. Okay, 1 minus 1 is not same as minus 1 1. Okay, that is why these are called tuples, ordered tuples, right? So epsilon 1, epsilon 2, epsilon 3 up to epsilon 8, such that each epsilon I belongs to minus 1 1. Okay, what does it mean? The values of these epsilons can be either minus 1 or plus 1, nothing else. Epsilon I comes from this set. Okay, that is what. Such that epsilon I belongs to minus 1 1, and this sum, epsilon 1 plus 2 epsilon 2 plus 3 epsilon 3, okay, plus this is a multiple of 3. Okay, so here we are considering divisibility by 3. So it's a very similar problem. We will use the property of congruences here. Okay, so we have this, what is this number? This number can be written as congruent to, so since we are considering divisibility by 3, this is congruent to what? You just concentrate on the coefficients. Okay, for the first one the coefficient is 1, no problem. For the second one, 2 can be written as congruent to what? Modulo 3. 2 is congruent to minus 1 modulo 3, right? So this I can write as this, for 2 I can write minus 1. 3 is congruent to 0 modulo 3, because 3 is divisible by 3. Okay, 4 is congruent to 1 modulo 3, because if you divide 4 by 3, the remainder is 1, right? If you divide 5 by 3, remainder is minus 1. So 5 is congruent to minus 1 modulo 3. Okay, similarly 6 is congruent to 0 modulo 3. Okay, 7 is congruent to 1, 8 is congruent to minus 1. So ultimately we get that this the given sum is congruent to epsilon 1 plus epsilon 4 plus epsilon 7 minus epsilon 2 plus epsilon 5 plus epsilon 8 modulo 3. Okay, So thus the values of epsilon 3 and epsilon 6 do not matter. Okay, so in the earlier problem you had seen the value of b doesn't matter. Okay, here the value of epsilon 3 and epsilon 6 doesn't matter. Whatever you choose, the sum, it will not affect the way the divisibility of the sum. Okay, right. So the sum, the given sum is congruent to this quantity modulo 3. So if it is a multiple of 3, then what should be this quantity? This quantity should be congruent to 0 modulo 3. Okay, if the sum is a multiple of 3, then this quantity is congruent to 0 modulo 3. Okay, this is what you have to understand. So given that epsilon 1 plus 2 epsilon 2 plus 8 epsilon 8 is a multiple of 3, so what should happen? This quantity should be congruent to 0 modulo 3. That means epsilon 1 plus epsilon 4 plus epsilon 7 should be congruent to epsilon 2 plus epsilon 5 plus epsilon 8 modulo 3. Okay. So since epsilon I is an element in the set minus 1 1, that means the values of these epsilons can be either minus 1 or plus 1. Okay, so what are the possibilities for the sums this and this? Okay, what are the possible values? Right, so let us see. So it's possible that all three are 1. Okay, it's possible that all three are 1. Okay, I am trying to find out what are the possible values of this sum. Okay, this sum and that sum. Right, so since the epsilons take values from minus 1 and 1 only, so these are the possibilities. All three are 1. If all three are 1, then the sum is 3. It may happen that two of them are 1 and one is minus 1. Okay, so in that case, what is the sum? Sum will be 1. It may happen that one of them is 1 and two others are minus 1. In that case, the sum is minus 1. Okay, and if all three are minus 1, then the sum is minus 3. Okay, if you remember, I had done a similar problem in the earlier lectures as well. Okay, yeah. So this was the reason behind that. Okay, you need to find out this type of things in many of the problems. Okay, so these are the only possibilities of the sums epsilon 1 plus epsilon 4 plus epsilon 7 and epsilon 2 epsilon 5 and epsilon 8. Okay, so under what condition these two will be congruent to each other modulo 3? If both of them are 3, they will be congruent. Okay, if both of them are 1, they will be congruent, no problem. If both of them are minus 1, they will be congruent. Okay, if both of them are minus 3, they will be congruent, right? And what else? If one is 3 and another is minus 3, then also they will be congruent, right? Because 3 is congruent to minus 3 modulo 3. 3 minus minus 3 is 6. 6 is divisible by 3. Okay. If one of them is 3, another is 1, then they cannot be congruent, because 3 minus 1 is 2. It is not divisible by 3. If one of them is 3, another is minus 1, then also they are not congruent. Okay. So the only possibilities are both are 3, both are minus 3, or both are one is 3, another is minus 3, or both are 1 or both are minus 1. Okay, these are the possibilities. So we list the possibilities of 8 tuples. Okay, so you can have a look at this list. Right, just let me reduce this size. It's not what happens. Okay, so what are the things? Yeah, this one. Yeah, this table I want to make it visible. Okay, I think it's visible, the complete table. No, I have to reduce it further. Okay, let me reduce it this way. Okay, now the complete table is visible. Yeah. Okay, so epsilon 1, epsilon 4, epsilon 7. It may happen that all three are 1. Okay, and it may happen that all three of these are also 1. Okay, and epsilon 3, it can take any value plus minus 1. So there are two options for epsilon 3. There are two options for epsilon 6. Okay, so we need to find out how many n tuples are possible. So here the values of epsilon 1, epsilon 4, epsilon 7, they can take only one value, that is all three are 1. Okay, epsilon 2, epsilon 5, epsilon 8, their values are also fixed, all three are 1. Okay, but epsilon 3 and epsilon 6, they can be different. Okay, So what is the number of n tuples? The first 1, 4 and 7, they can be chosen in one way. 2, 5 and 8, they can be chosen in one way. Okay, epsilon 3 can be chosen in two ways. Epsilon 6 can be chosen in two ways. And for each choice of epsilon 3, there are two choices of epsilon 6, like that. So that means multiplication principle is applicable here. So the number of 8 tuples will be 4 in this case. The second case is this is 3 and all of these are minus 1. Okay, so that is also possible, because in that case also 3 is congruent to minus 3. Okay, and these are my plus minus 1 plus minus 1. So there are 4 options for this place also. Next, it may happen that 2 of them are 1, 1 is minus 1. So this can happen because they are ordered tuples, their order may change. Okay, so we have to consider all possibilities. So 1, 1, minus 1, 1, minus 1, 1, minus 1, 1, 1. These are the only possibilities. 3 possibilities are there. Okay, and in each case the sum is 1. So correspondingly there are 3 possibilities here also. Okay, right, because with 1, if the sum of epsilon 1, epsilon 4, epsilon 7 is 1, the sum of epsilon 2, epsilon 5 and epsilon 8 has to be 1, because they have to be congruent. 1 cannot be congruent to minus 1 modulo 3, right? 1 cannot be congruent to 3 modulo 3. Okay, that is what I had already remarked. That is why these are the only options here. Okay, but there is a important thing that you have to note. If this is the value of epsilon 1, epsilon 4, epsilon 7, then any of these 3 can be the values of the next one. Okay, right? If this is the value, if the second value is there, then any of these 3 can be the value of the second one. Okay, so here also multiplication principle is applicable. For each option in the this epsilon 1, epsilon 4, epsilon 7, there are 3 options for epsilon 2, epsilon 5, epsilon 8. Okay, correspondingly there are 2 options for this, 2 options for epsilon 6. So here the total number of n tuples that will be formed is 3 into 3 into 2 into 2. Okay, just application of multiplication of principle. Okay, just you need to identify what are the possibilities. Then this is another possibility. The 2 of them may be minus 1, 1 of them may be 1. Okay, so in that case also there are 36 possibilities. Okay, another one is all of them are minus 1, and all of them here they are 1. Okay, minus 3 is congruent to 3, no problem, modulo 3. Then all of them are minus 1, here also all of them are minus 1. This is also possible. Okay, so here, like the earlier case, there are 4 options in all. So what is the total number of n tuples now? Total number of n tuples will be 4 plus 4 plus 36 plus 36 plus 4 plus 4. There is 88. Okay, there are 88 tuples which can be formed. Okay, so this was another problem, right? Let us have a look at another problem which came long time back, International Mathematics Olympiad 1960. Okay, so it's a very interesting problem. So determine all 3-digit numbers which are equal to 11 times their sum of the squares of their digits. Okay, determine all 3-digit numbers which are equal to 11 times the sum of the squares of their digits. Okay, yeah, this problem. So let the 3-digit numbers be denoted by x, y, z. So what happens? So what is the number? Number is 100x plus 10y plus z, right? Okay, so by question the number is equal to 11 times the sum of the squares of its digits. Okay, so it's very simple. So now let us try to bring in 11 as much as possible. Okay, so 100x can be written as 99x plus x, 10y can be written as 11y minus y. Okay, and then you take the 11 terms containing 11 to the other side. So x minus y plus z will be 11 times of this x square plus y square plus z square minus 9x plus y. Okay, so 11 divides x minus y plus z, because you can take 11 common here, right? So x minus y plus z is divisible by 11. Okay, so now x, y, z are digits. Okay, that is the main thing you have to remember. So x, y, z can be only these numbers from 0, 1 to up to 9. So what is the maximum value of x minus y plus z that can happen is 18, because the maximum value of x is 9, maximum value of z is 9, and since there is a subtraction here, to get the maximum value of this term we have to subtract the minimum as minimum as possible. Okay, so 9 plus 9 and subtract 0. Okay, so the maximum value of this quantity is 18. Okay, it cannot be more than that, right? And minimum value, you take the minimum possible values of x and z and then subtract the maximum possible y. Okay, that is how we find out the minimum value of x minus y plus z. Okay, take the minimum value of x and z. So minimum value of x and z is what? 0 and 0 minus 9. So the minimum value is minus 9, but actually it's minus 8 because the first digit it cannot be 0 because these are 3-digit numbers. Okay, so x cannot be 0. X is a non-zero quantity. Okay, so it's minus 8. Even if you write minus 9, it's not a problem. It's a lower bound. Okay, right. So x minus y plus z, it's lying between minus 8 and 18. But what we have seen, that this quantity is divisible by 11. So what are the possibilities? The only possibilities are this is 0 or 11. Okay, what are the numbers between minus 8 and 18 which are divisible by 11? Only 0 and 11, nothing else. Okay, so there are only two cases. X minus y plus z is 0, that is or x minus y plus z is 11. Okay, so I am discussing the case 1 here in today's lecture. Your home task is you discuss the case 2. Okay, I'll discuss the case 1 in detail. You see what happens. Okay, so if x minus y plus z is 0, then y is x plus z. So you substitute here from equation 1. If you substitute, you will get this and put the value of y, x plus z, and then you will get a quadratic equation of this type. 2x square quadratic equation in x. Okay, you can also consider it quadratic equation in z, but here considering it quadratic in x will help us a lot here. Okay, right. So this is the quadratic equation. So it is to be remembered that one thing that you have to remember, this quadratic equation has only integer solutions, that too in the range 0, 1 to up to 9. Okay, values of x and z, they lie between 0, 1 to up to 9. Okay, so that simplifies our solution of the quadratic equations. Okay, so we can consider several cases here. Now you observe that first term here is even, the second term here is also even, the third term here is also even. So what about z? Z has to be even. Okay, you take z to the other side, z is 2 into something, so the z is an even number. Okay, this is one observation we can make. Maybe it will help us. Yeah. Okay, then by quadratic equation theory. So this was already discussed in the earlier lectures, quadratic equations. So by quadratic equation theory, equation 2 will have integer solutions only if the discriminant is a perfect square. Okay, because if the discriminant is not a perfect square, you will have this type of terms, right? If you recall, what is the solution of a quadratic equation? It's minus b. Okay, just let me write here, minus b plus minus, okay, root over sqrt of b square minus 4ac, right? B square minus 4ac, okay, by twice a. Okay, this is the formula for the quadratic equation, right? So where is it? Oh, I forgot it somewhere. Sqrt of dfrac minus b plus minus, okay, square root of b square minus 4ac, okay, by twice a, right? So this is the formula for the quadratic equation. Yeah, this is the formula for the quadratic equation, right? So if I want the roots to be integers, okay, what happens? This square root has to go. Okay, if the square root remains, then the roots are not integers. That means whenever a quadratic equation has integral roots or say rational roots, then the discriminant, that is b square minus 4ac, has to be a perfect square. Okay, otherwise the root term will remain and we'll get irrational type of things. Okay, so this is one observation you need, right? And this type of problems we will be doing in your class 9, 10 quadratic equation chapter. Okay, find the values of a and b for which this equation has rational roots. Okay, so it's simple that the discriminant has to be a perfect square. So let us see what is the discriminant, right? Discriminant is b square minus 4ac. So this is this square minus this into this. Okay, so if you simplify this quantity, after simplification you will get minus 4 into 3z square plus 8z minus 25. Okay, so since z is a digit, so we can just have a quick check. Okay, so we will find out the values of z for which the total quantity minus 4 into this is a perfect square. Okay, and z is a digit, so we can just check out the possibilities. Z equal to 0, z equal to 1, etc. Okay, so for z equal to 0, what is d? D is 100, that is a perfect square, 10 square, right? For z equal to 1, it's not a perfect square. For z equal to 2, it's negative. Okay, you see, it's negative. For every other value of z which is greater than 2, then the quantity will be negative. So negative also will not give us any solution that we want, because if discriminant is negative, then the roots are imaginary. Okay, roots are not real. So let's see how this quadratic equation concept is applied in these problems. That is why it is very necessary to learn the basics. Okay, basics of everything, and that is why we are taking the classes for basics. Okay, you will see every basic thing that we do will be required in solving the problems. Okay, so here we have written we don't need to check for other values at all, as for z greater than or equal to 2, d will be negative. Okay, so the quadratic equation 2 will have no real root, so we don't need to check from z equal to 2 to up to 9. Okay, so the only possible value of z is 0. Okay, so once z is 0, from the equation 2 you will get this quantity is 0, that is if you solve this, x is 0 or x is 5, but x is not 0 because we started with a 3-digit number, so the first digit cannot be 0. So as the number is of 3 digits, right? So x has to be 5. So once x is 5, what is y? Y is x plus z, y is also 5. So 550 is a solution. Okay, so you can check whether it satisfies or not. What is 11 times of 5 square plus 5 square? 5 square is 25. 25 plus 25 is 50. 50 multiplied with 11 is 550. So the number is equal to 11 times the square of its digits. Okay, it's satisfying, right? And the case 2 is this: x minus y plus z is 11. So you proceed the same way. Substitute the value of y here and try it yourself. Okay, try to find out the value, and you're lucky, the answer will come out. Only one answer will come out. The answer is as given in the book. I have not tried as of now. As given in the book, it is 803. Okay, so please try it for yourself whether you get the answer as 803 or not. Okay, right? So with that, today's lecture, or my lecture for this week is over. Okay, I'll see you next week with the solution for this problem. But I want all of you to try this as well. Okay, and we will see some more problems with the concepts that we have already learned. I'll not be introducing any new concepts, right, as of now. Okay, thank you, thanks a lot.